That probably means that over the first crew there, they've already taken a 20-second piece out of them as they come through now towards the last part of this time trial.
Yeah, coming down to the line here, crew number 1, Wycliffe College, stayed clear of the field all the way down the 2K.
And just coming up to the finish now, Durham School. Lovely piece of water up there in Durham, where I got my novice sculling put. Really hard course to steer with a nasty bridge in the middle of it. So these guys finding this 2K straight course somewhat easier.
Scullers coming through now, overhauling King's Worcester. Down inside the last 200 metres, they've had quite a tense tussle between them all the way down the course, very similar times. But Tideway Scullers maintained that fast rate the way through the intermediate splits, and in a minute we'll get the finish time for them. But at this very early stage of the 26 crews in this event, they are bound to take a qualifying position no matter until we get the results from the rest of the field. And yes, Tideway Scullers slide straight to the top of the league at this early stage, but I can confirm that all 26 crews have now started. The full field is on the water.
And that was King's Worcester just crossing the line there. Probably could have done with rating a little higher. I had them at 33. Probably wanted to be pushing a little bit harder towards the finish of this time trial.
Peterborough City in the yellow strip coming down towards the line.
And coming up towards the line we have Magdalen College School, Oxford. Again, probably could just do with pushing the rating a little harder as they come to
Crew 10 approaching the last 100 metres, King's Chester, that's their A crew. Now, I'm assuming that they may have started out of order. Don't forget that just because we've got the numerical order in the programme, crews can be late on the start and therefore be started off from the 2K pontoon out of order. So difficult to tell until we get the times notched up where they stand in the batting order, but I can confirm that strong performance from Tideway Scullers has provisionally kept them at the top of the league right now, followed by Trentham and William Borlase.
And crossing the line now, we have Bedford School Boat Club A and Aberdeen Schools Rowing Association. Certainly Aberdeen wouldn't have come this far if they didn't think they were in with the shout, so let's see when we get the results of the time trial. And we now have Dulwich School and Royal Grammar School High Wycombe racing side by side. Looks like Dulwich have caught up with High Wycombe, but Wycombe just putting in a bit of a push towards the finish now. And just behind them, Tideway School Scullers B crew.
Well, that in fact completes the lineup for the J16 quad sculls. So to repeat entirely unofficially, Tideway Scullers, Trentham and Sir William Borlase were the fastest 3 quads. So we'll wait for official confirmation and then we can give you the 12 fastest who will progress through to the semi-finals later this afternoon. So for the other 14 crews, that means it's the end of their racing at this regatta. And very exciting news, just in case you haven't heard about it, there is to be a new regatta in 2 weeks' time. It's called the Brandon Bravo Regatta, named after the late Martin Brandon Bravo, a former president of British Rowing and president of Nottingham and Union Boat Club, who was largely instrumental as one of the main driving forces behind the development of the National Water Sports Centre at Home Pierpont all those years ago. And in his memory, because he only died within the last 12 months, a new regatta has been formed, a one-day event. It'll take place at Home Pierpont in 2 weeks' time, and it is for those crews who would not or did not reach the semi-finals at the National Schools Regatta. So if you like, it's a bit analogous to the ladies' plate at Wimbledon, not the other ladies' plate in rowing. And I'm sure that that'll be a keenly anticipated event, and I suspect that event may grow and grow as the years go by. So very good luck to the organisers of that particular event in 2 weeks' time.
And now we have the time trial for the J16 coxless 4s. The first crew just coming down towards the finish now, St Edward's School Boat Club B, closely followed in by Royal Shrewsbury School Boat Club. The fastest 12 crews from this time trial will progress to the semi-finals A and B.
KCS just crossing the line, number 29.
And just coming up towards the line now, another Aberdeen Schools Rowing Association. Looking very powerful. They've travelled the furthest of anyone today, so really good to see them competing.
And 32, St Paul's School Boat Club just coming down inside the last 100 metres. St Paul's still, I suspect, basking in the highlight of having won Championship 8s as the last race, the climax of yesterday's racing.
Yes, Robert, and certainly St Paul's over the last couple of years, their 8 at Henley last year, I think is probably the best junior crew I've ever seen, certainly technically, and their performance in winning at Henley last year was outstanding and probably would have taken on quite a few of the men's crews in the more senior events.
You're absolutely right, Simon. Yes, of course they did it in record time. There were a number of Henley records broken, but I don't think any record was smashed by as much as the Princess Elizabeth when St Paul's crossed the line in the final.
And I don't think there will be for some time. And King's College School Boat Club B just getting to the finish now. Followed in by Eton College Boat Club A crew. Hampton and
number 35 coming down with Hampton, that's the St Paul's C crew. So St Paul's with 3 fours in this J16 event.
And followed in closely by Abingdon School. I'll move them a little bit geographically there. Just coming up towards the finish now.
And 37 in the red and white strip, Radley College. Radley, who've really come right back up in the top notch of schools rowing. Took the bronze medal in Championship 8s yesterday, and Sam Townsend, the former GB Olympian who's now in charge there, doing a grand job in bringing Radley back up the rankings.
And probably at the top of the rankings now, following them down, is Shiplake College. Their headmaster Greg Davis was enjoying his last term as headmaster, watching his crews win yesterday.
And in turn, following narrowly behind in the black and red strip, Winchester College.
Westminster and
40.
Eton.
Westminster School, followed by the Eton B crew, just approaching the line.
And nearest the bank on the far side we have the Westminster School Boat Club B crew. So we have a bit of a gap there. As probably you can see from the flags, there's quite a strong tailwind on the course today. Generally that means the crews have to be a little bit sharp around the finish, just making sure they can take advantage of the run in the boat that the wind helps them with. Here at Eton we tend to have just a slight cross tailwind blowing towards the side where all of the tents are. But today it looks like it's pretty much straight down the course.
Yeah, quite a gap, as you were saying, Simon, and the boat that's leading the trio now in the orange and black strip, that's the American School in London. But the breaking news is that the Westminster A crew that we saw finish just a few moments ago has rocketed straight to the top of the provisional leaderboard ahead of Shiplake and Abingdon.
And following the American School in is Monmouth School. And Norwich School Boat Club just behind them.
Here come Walton, looking as though they're putting in a bit of a sprint for the finish. trying to put the finishing touches to what they hope is going to be a fast time here in this J16 Falls event.
And the next two crews coming down, St Edward's Schools Boat Club. No, it's not.
Looks like Radley to me, Simon.
The blue one.
And finishing off, I think we've got St George's College, crew number 49.
And certainly at the moment, unofficially, the top three crews are Westminster, Shiplake and Abingdon. Just to emphasise that we just have to wait a few minutes just to make that official, but certainly looks like those three crews will finish at the top of the J16 Coxless Fours.
Well, next off the blocks, it's the J16 Double Sculls Time Trial. Once again, the similar qualification rules to the previous time trials, in that the 12 fastest doubles will progress to the semi-finals this afternoon.
J16 doubles, often a very, very hard event to come up with a favourite. A lot of these guys would have doubled up over the regatta, split crews up into the doubles for this event, which means it's quite hard to look at the form over the season.
Coming down to the line, the leading crew, Nottingham and Union, Josh Rhodes and Harvey Lunn, and followed by the double from Chester Le Street, Matthew Clew and Roman Bowery.
Next up is Whitcliffe Junior Rowing Club B crew. Looks like they're just bashing a few boys on the way down there, which is and have a little bit of a challenge with their steering coming across towards this side.
Next two doubles coming down are Jack Millington and Aaron Benyon from Northwich, number 54, alongside Kingston Grammar School B crew, Tom Romberg and Sam Cooper.
That's Reading Blue Coat.
No, that's Simon is correcting me. That's it. Reading Blue Coat, number 56, Ed Bindoff and Will McKean.
And the next crew down are Maidenhead, Dylan Cook and Oliver Evans. These guys this year have been coached by Victor Kleshnev, who was in the Great Britain Junior Quad last year that got a silver medal. And the next crew we have is St Michael's Limerick, followed by Tideway Scullers. and in close succession, Fulham Reach Boat Club. Oh, Kingston Grammar School, just a little bit of a crab there, just as they tried to push the rate up for the finish. Recovered really, really well, pushing hard for the line now. Now as we come up towards the last 100 metres, Dulwich College Boat Club. Really pushing the rating up. On the far side we have Crew 68, Yarm School, and just nearest to us here in the tower, Wallingford Rowing Club.
It's another Reading Blue Coat double, Henry Cox and Barney Thompson, number 66.
Closely followed in by Team King. Blue Coat have a new head coach this year, Alan French, joining them from coaching the Oxford Brooks women's squad. Perhaps a real intent there for Blue Coat to really push rowing in the school. Headmaster rowed as a lightweight for Harvard, so a little bit of pedigree. And the next crew coming down, Isle of Ely Rowing Club. William Buchanan and Tom Sharrock. And we have a bit of a trio here. Our first coming in will be London Youth Rowing Tradesmen, with the Lee putting in a really, really hard push. And slightly out of sequence, Twickenham just following in Lee. And just coming up to the line, as we'd expect from Henley, a very, very tidy double. On the far side, followed in by Exeter Rowing Club. And just crossing the line now, we have Magdalen College School, Oxford. And just crossing the line now, Shankling Rowing Club, Ethan Walters and Riley Horrocks.
Yeah, good to see that Isle of Wight club joining us here at National Schools. Of course, I suspect these guys are more used to coastal rowing, but obviously performing just as proficiently in fine boats here.
And they're followed in by Leeds Rowing Club,
Well, Shanklin looks as though they have achieved a qualifying position. Still a few crews to come down. Provisionally, the top of the leaderboard is with a Wycliffe B double, followed by Exeter and the Reading Blue Coat A double as the 1, 2, 3.
And the next two crews coming in now. First of all, St Michael's Rowing Club Limerick B crew and the American School in London A crew.
And here come crew 85, Royal Grammar School High Wycombe, James Partington and Thomas Mathewson.
Closely followed by Kingston Rowing Club Harry Tyler and Liam Byron.
And then to finish off this field in the J16 doubles, it's the American School in London B crew, Elliot Clyde and George Henry Yardley. Well, we're still awaiting the official stamp of approval on the time trials so far this morning, so let me repeat the unofficial qualifiers in the J16 quads that kicked off the programme. Tideway Scullers A, Trenton, Sir William Borlase, Peterborough, Wallingford, Aberdeen Schools, Clare's Court, Hinksey, St Michael's A crew, Tideway Scullers B, Dulwich College and the King's Worcester A crew were provisionally the top 12 that progress to the semis. And then in the J16 fours, the top 12 Westminster A, Shiplake, Abingdon A, Monmouth School A, Aberdeen Schools, Hampton A, St Paul's A, Westminster B, Eton College A and B. Their A and B fours separated by just 0.2 of a second. Sorry, 1.2 seconds. And then Walton and Royal Shrewsbury School A crew, with the provisionally the top 12 in J16 fours. Still awaiting the final times to be notched up on the leaderboard in the J16 doubles. If you're wondering what happened to the Kingston Grammar School B double, the Weybridge B double and the Hinksey A double, they withdrew from the competition. And the J16 fours result has just been made official. So to reiterate, Westminster School A, Shiplake, Abingdon A, Monmouth A, Aberdeen Schools, Hampton School A, St Paul's A, Westminster B, Eton College A and B, Walton and Shrewsbury A are the top 12 that we'll see again in the semi-finals this afternoon. We now turn our attention to the Championship Coxless pairs for the Nick Bevan Cup. 26 entries in this event, with Canterbridgian in the shape of Samuel Askew and Josh Pearson kicking off the time trial.
I think, Robert, the favourites for this event probably almost certainly are going to be the Radley College boys. John Gearing's crews this year have done very, very well, and these two boys both represented Great Britain in Munich. One of the early season regattas for the junior internationals.
Yes, it's great, isn't it, that our juniors should get international experience early in the season, as the selectors have their eye on the junior crews that might shape up to represent GB this year at the Olympic test event in Tokyo. In rowing, the World Junior Championships in the pre-Olympic year forms the dress rehearsal, if you like, for the big one the following year. So it gives a chance for these youngsters to compete on the course where their senior compatriots will compete for medals at the Olympics. But Munich has long been a favourite, hasn't it, Simon, for juniors to show their form early in the season?
Absolutely, and I think the Regatta course was actually under threat earlier this year, but I believe it's been saved now. It's an amazing venue for those of you that haven't been. And I think certainly for the GB crews, a great opportunity to stamp their authority very, very early on in terms of selection. For those of you that are newer to rowing, perhaps some of the parents here, quite often the trials for the sweep events in our sport are pairs events. So these guys will have had to have trained in a pair and competed in a pair to get selection. So this won't be an unfamiliar boat, although a lot of them will have moved into an 8, perhaps for the 8's head or for the championship 8s yesterday.
Yes, the Oberschleißheim course at Munich was very much under threat, and largely because of the withdrawal of funding from the city corporation in Munich. And of course we know one or two other courses here in the UK that have suffered a similar fate, but thankfully have been rescued. The Oberschleißheim course, which hosted the Olympic Regatta in 1972 and went on to host the World Senior Championships some 12 years ago in 2007. Well, you were talking about the Radley College pair, Simon, and looking at the splits as the field moves rapidly down the course. Radley have recorded the fastest time to the 900-metre mark of the dozen or so crews who've passed that point so far in this field of 26, and still looking pretty good as they move through 1400.
And certainly looking down the course now, it looks like they've rowed through the 2 crews ahead of them, so they're going to be setting a pretty fast time for everyone to measure themselves against.
Well, Radley College started 4th in the batting order in this event off the start for the championship coxless pairs, but they've only got 1 crew ahead of them, such has been their power down the course.
And they're really pushing on the Cantabrian crew that are in front of them. They're in the same lane, so that is a huge distance that the Radley boys have caught up on the Cantabrian guys. Probably 20 seconds, I'd say, over the 2K.
Yeah, but just look how the Cantabrian boys are responding, because they don't want the Radley guys up on their stern, so that's given them an extra push. That's a nice pacing exercise.
And just coming in behind the Radley guys, Reading Bluecoat School. William Shedden and Ethan Page Mason. And that was Coleraine crossing the line. They confused me by putting the number on upside down.
Let's face it, Simon, we can be very easily confused sometimes, but here comes 93, King's School Canterbury B crew, Thomas Wingfield and Ian Wingfield. I suspect they might be brothers. Followed across the line by the other King's Canterbury crew. Well, I say the other one, believe it or not, that's their E pair. So King's Canterbury have flooded this event with no less than 5 entries by my reckoning.
And coming up to the line now, Crew 94, Henley Rowing Club, followed quite closely by the Grange School. And having to rowing in a bit of a vacuum is the Glasgow Academy pair. Really haven't had anyone to push off either just in front of them or behind them, which means it's really a test of mental strength in a time trial.
Time for Radley has now come in, and that's pushed them straight to the top of the leaderboard of the 8 pairs who so far finished the course.
And the far side we have Sir William Borlase School. Oliver Lane and Samuel Nicklin. Followed by Enniskillen Royal Boat Club Ireland. Bedford School just paddling over the line. It looks like they may have had a problem because they were reasonably high up in the start order, and they're certainly not racing over the line.
'99 in the light blue boat is Weybridge A crew, Louis McLeod and Tim Johnson.
And the next 2 crews down are Dulwich College Boat Club and Bedford School Boat Club C crew. Closely followed by King's School Chester A crew.
And then we've got 105, that's Walton Rowing Club, James McMullen and Matthew Hayward.
And followed by Windsor Boys School, Harry Bodkin and Curtis Workman. And we have another Reading Blue Coat school crew here just coming up to the line. Charlie Bryce and Jacob Parrington.
And that Walton pair that recently finished have slid straight up to the top of the rankings, only just behind Radley. So the 1, 2, 3 at this early stage is the Radley A pair, followed by Walton, and then the King's Canterbury B pair.
And the next 2 crews down are King's School Chester B crew and King's College School Boat Club A crew. Closely followed by Bedford School Boat Club A crew.
(111) Peterborough City in the yellow top, that's Alex Leveridge and Henry Barnett.
And finishing off the championship pairs, Maidstone Invicta Rowing Club, Ross Bain and Samuel Pollum.
And so as Maidstone Invicta cross the finish line and their time comes flashing up on the leaderboard, we see that continuing in the top 1, 2, 3 are the Radley A pair, followed by Walton and King's Canterbury B. Then the next three, King's Chester B, King's Chester A, and Enniskillen A.
And the next time trial we've got coming down now, race 305, Championship Girls Pairs. Certainly for the pairs races, this tailwind will be quite helpful. They'll just need to be tidy technically as they come down the course. It's a bit early to say. I don't think we've got to the first timing point yet. But the first crew down should be Sir William Perkins School Rowing Club A. Certainly the favourites for this race, probably Kingston Grammar School. Lily Abbott, who's in the stroke seat of the pair, performed very well at GB trials earlier this year. Her speed, and showed her speed by winning the Women's Junior Under-18 single sculls at Wallingford earlier on in the season. Partner Holly Blake came third in the same event, so they'll hope to take that pace from Wallingford and GB trials into this time trial.
Well, although none of the crews are in sight yet from the finish, a considerable number, obviously about 3/4 of the field have already started, and the early splits would indicate a strong performance from Aberdeen Schools. They were certainly the fastest to 400 and maintained that position at the halfway mark, ahead of Yarm School and King's Canterbury.
And the first crew now we can see coming down towards the finish are Sir William Perkins School Rowing Club A. Working really hard to try and keep it long, really important in the pair to make sure that you're levering the blade through the water for as much time as possible, getting the length. Just really starting to push it up now towards the last few strokes for this time trial. Looks like they've maintained a healthy gap behind with the crews behind them. With Pangbourne College Boat Club A. Crew of Francesca Allen and Megan Myhill just coming up now for their last few strokes in this Championship Girls pair.
Followed by Pangbourne A, that's Francesca Allen and Maddie Sawbridge, number 114. And in turn followed by the Yarm pair, that's Katie Wood and Sarah Portsmouth, number 118.
Followed in by crew 119, Headington School Boat Club A crew. Zakira Clicco and Cordelia Mahoney.
Well, we've got provisional confirmation of the Aberdeen Schools fast time. I was telling you a few minutes ago that they rowed the fastest split to the halfway mark, and they're already top of the leaderboard of the times that have come in at this very early stage.
And the two crews crossing the line almost together now. King's School Canterbury Boat Club and St Paul's School Boat Club B.
And they in turn are followed by 115, King's School Ely A crew, Lucy Whiteside and Alice Dickens.
Awesome. Next up we have the Walton Rowing Club B crew, Catherine Stenning and Lola Hewitt.
And And then we've got Sir William Borlase, crew 1, 2, 3, Sarah Helen and Charlotte Farmer. Moving down level into the closing stage is 1, 2, 1. That's St Paul's B crew and Godolphin and Latimer B crew.
And they're followed by the Godolphin and Latimer A crew on the side nearest the tents.
So statistically, Simon, now I'm sure you can work it out. What are the chances in a random draw of 28 crews, of 2 crews drawing consecutive numbers? Go on quickly now.
My maths is appalling, so I'm not even going to try. That was evil. And coming up now we have Henley Rowing Club B crew, crew 129, Charlotte Williams and Emma Berry.
Followed by King's Chester and Sir William Perkins B crew, and followed by Shiplake College, Olivia Morgan, who featured so strongly in yesterday's Championship Girls Singles with her partner Molly Sharman.
And they're closely followed by St Paul's Girls School Boat Club A crew, Isabel Stewart Smith and Avery Louis. And coming towards the finish now, we have Monmouth Comprehensive School Boat Club A, Josie Harrison and Talia Gould. Closely followed by Kingston's Grammar School Boat Club, Lily Abbott and Holly Blake.
Well, Olivia Morgan from Shiplake has proved that she's just as strong in sweep as in sculling, because she and her partner Molly Sharman have slid into second place behind Aberdeen Schools on the leaderboard.
And we just have Kingston Rowing Club now just crossing the line. Followed by Reading Bluecoat School, Eleanor Lee and Emily Jackson.
And here come some more Irish visitors from St Michael's Rowing Club Ireland, 137, Megan O'Byrne and Catherine Storen.
And it's certainly good to see rowing in Ireland has really picked up. The O'Donovan brothers, fantastic performance in Rio, probably the most entertaining interview of the Olympics as well.
Absolutely, and don't forget Sunita Pushpare, who won the women's singles last year in Plovdiv, and I had the great pleasure of being alongside both those A finals when the O'Donovans finally got the world title, and so did Sunita in the single.
You have the advantage of being able to pronounce her name, of course. And we have Pangbourne Boat Club B crew 138 and Walton Rowing Club A crew, crew 139, just coming into the line now. And this is my old club, Tyne Amateur Rowing Club, up at Newburn in Newcastle. Fantastic piece of water to row on for anyone who's not been up there. This is Sarah Ord and Charlie Charlton. Tyne actually producing an athlete in the current GB squad, Will Fletcher, who came through and won the GB lightweight trials this year.
Well, that completes the field for the Championship Girls pairs. Or does it? Because there's like a commentator's nightmare. I can still see a crew down the course, so they have yet to finish. Now, in fact, is that the Henley A pair?
No.
No, it isn't, but why have the Henley A pair not come up on our leaderboard, I wonder?
It's boys. Crew 67.
Anyway, if we go back to the Championship Girls pairs, and the very provisionally the 12 fastest are Kingston A. So Kingston have slid to the top of the leaderboard ahead of Aberdeen Schools. Then we've got the Shiplake pair, followed by Yarm, Notts County, St Paul's A, Walton B, St Michael's A, Henley B, Walton A, Kingston Grammar School, Sir William Perkins A.
And Robert, the crew crossing the line now is actually Crew 67, Trafford Rowing Club, from the J16 doubles. Miles Dickinson Brown and Albert Winstons. I guess they may have had a technical problem up at the start, or didn't manage to get there in time, but they seem to have come down on their own in the J16 doubles.
Well, that's good news for Trafford, Crew 67, because it looks provisionally as though they have grabbed the 12th slot for the AB semis. So good luck with that one, Trafford, but of course we'll still need official confirmation.
And the time trial coming down now is the J16 girls doubles. Probably the favourites for this are going to come from the very, very successful Henley girls sculling squad. Maybe Headington School in with a mix as well. But certainly Henley have been dominant in junior girls rowing over the last few years, winning the Head of the River this year, which is fantastic achievement for a club. I certainly know of only one other club, mainly because I coached the crew that did it, which was Maidenhead, that have done it as a club. Generally the girls are coming from different schools, so the logistics are a bit harder. So probably in this race I'd expect Henley and Headington to be topping the field.
So the J16 girls doubles, it's a new event for the national schools here at 2019, racing for the Simon Sears Cup. Number of new events in the programme this year, and of course the massive success and growth that we've seen at national schools has brought its own difficulties, and already those responsible are considering the possibility of abolishing time trials next year, or even adding a fourth day to the programme. And as you'll see from the full page that they've dedicated to this issue in the programme, they are keenly awaiting feedback from all those with an interest in developing this sport as the premier event for juniors in the UK, because of course it needs to suit the competitors and the coaches and the schools and clubs. So we await that decision with keen interest.
Absolutely, and that's Sir William Perkins School Rowing Club B crew, Lola Wright and Tess O'Donnell crossing the line now. And we're coming up. It looks like we've got Kingston now. They were started third, so it looks like they pushed through the crew ahead of them. Sophie Waddington and Levine Dosange. And on this side, the crew they pushed past Pangbourne College Boat Club A, Thea Barton and Ross Harper.
And coming up between them, we've got Cambridge 99 in the light blue strip, Agnes Prager and Rosalind Redley.
And next we have crew 148, Sir William Perkins School Rowing Club A crew. Emmy Kirkhope and Celia Crosby.
Now we've got Putney High School Boat Club, Polly Cameron and Darcy Boyle leading a quartet coming into the closing stages.
And we have Latimer Upper School Boat Club A and another tying crew coming up, Erin Temple and Charlotte Hudson.
And the last crew in this quartet is number 151, Georgina Thorpe and B. Beaver from King's Worcester.
And we can now see one of the powerful Henley crews, crew 152, Holly Nave and Riley Butcher, looking very, very tidy as they come down towards the finish.
Well, Spera Thorpe, St Edwards A, Saskia Ward and Isabel Labres Diaz, number 153. They've just crossed the line and gone straight to the top of the leaderboard, but they didn't hold on to it for long because Trentham, who just finished, have moved up there into the lead 3 seconds ahead of Teddy's.
And that was Sacred Heart just crossing the line there. And we now have Ross Rowing Club crew 156 and Exeter Rowing Club crew 157. Closely followed by St George's College Boat Club. And now we have the Headington School Boat Club A crew. Katie Jeans and Eleanor Jars just coming through to the finish now.
And they're followed by Walton Rowing Club and Kingston A. Kingston A just squeezing ahead of Walton on the line. Kingston A, Francesca Bowden and Jess Martin, and Walton represented by Lizzie Rushworth and Hannah Look.
And next we have crews 164, Tideway Scullers School, and 165, Coleraine Grammar School, Northern Ireland. Having a good tussle here towards the finish. It's always good in a time trial to tag with another crew if you can. It really, really helps you push mentally towards the last part of the race, making sure you get the maximum out of the time trial you can. Unlike the crew behind, who are racing very much in a vacuum, so it's down to mental strength to push themselves over the course. Crew 166, Sacred Heart High School Rowing Club A crew.
Well, that Coleraine crew that we saw finish strongly have just slid into third place provisionally.
And we have now, coming up towards the finish, Great Marlow School. Brooke Gosnell and Madeline Jones.
Well, that Sacred Heart double just hanging on by the skin of their teeth to 12th position overall, but that's obviously under threat with several crews yet to finish.
On the far side we have crew 169, Barn Elms Rowing Club. And on this side, Burway Rowing Club. Good to see Burway here. They have a fantastic junior regatta. Really aimed at the beginners in the sport, really, really well run, great atmosphere as well.
And they're followed by crew 170, that's the Godolphin and Latimer A double, Delilah Wilson and Jasmine Rush.
And we have, the last three crews coming up. Sir William Borlase on the far side, Eddie Harkin and Danielle Taverner, So apologies, Daniela Taverner.
Then we've got Walbrook A, that's crew 174, Maya Catton and Holly Yude. And then the tail enders look to be Barn Elms, Alexandra Bucciolati and Valentina Levy.
It's Trafford. Actually,
No. Go on, Simon, you tell them.
actually, it's Trafford Rowing Club just coming over the line now.
My apologies, my binoculars weren't powerful enough to pick up that number. So once again, very provisionally, we have 12 qualifiers for the AB semi-finals, and they look to be Trentham A, Headington A, Coleraine, St Edwards A, Kingston A, St George's A, Sir William Perkins A, Burway, Cambridge 99 A, Exeter, Kings Worcester and Tyne.
And on the course now we have the time trial for the championship doubles. Probably the favourites for this event are Leander. Leander has split their squad up for today. Their A crew of Tim Elias and Miles Devereux. Miles recently earned his GB vest in the Munich Regatta, and Tim Elias has had some superb speed in the small boats this season with numerous wins, notably winning by 15 seconds at the Junior Sculling Regatta.
Coming down to the line, crew 171 from the previous race. That's Headington B. And we'll get their time in a moment. Will it dent those top 12? That's the important thing. No, it won't. 809.62 for Headington B. So the top 12 that I just gave you is still the unofficial result.
And the first crew coming over the line now, Tideways Scullers, Alexandra Jonas and Alfie Hill. They've obviously overtaken the crew that started ahead of them, so it looks like a good race for Scullers. Followed in by crew 175, Mosbourne Rome Academy, Zuri James and Cassius Burley. Next down, the American School in London, Omar Ben Gachem and Jack Wilking. Crew coming across the line now, St Michael's Rowing Club Limerick B crew.
And they're followed by Royal Grammar School Worcester A crew, Ben Jarvis and Edward Smith.
And following them in are the very bright yellow and blue colours of Warrington Boat Club.
You were mentioning the Leander double just a few minutes ago, Simon, and it's interesting to note that in the random draw they have joined the final slot in this enormous field for this time trial. So I suspect that there'll be some eager faces on that, on those times to see how they skew the leaderboard when they come down into the closing stages.
Absolutely. Just as coming up to the line now, we have Weybridge Rowing Club C crew, crew 181. Followed by crew 183, Cambridge 99 Rowing Club A crew. who are followed in by Thames Rowing Club B crew, Luke Knight and Ben James.
(184) Peterborough City. That's their A double of Connor Ribbins and Jack Collins.
Followed by Emmanuel School Boat Club crew 187, Ollie Albury and Gabriel Obholzer. I'm not sure if he's related to the famous Obholzer.
And we've got another northern visitor, Tees Rowing Club, Callum Holsworth and Mazia Amini.
Of course, Tees, the home of Cat Copeland, who was in had a fantastic victory here in 2012 in the GB Lightweight Double.
And of course the original club of Jo Ratton, who now rows out of Leander, and we're going to be seeing her compete next weekend in the Europeans as a member of the GB Women's 8.
Crossing the line now, Wallingford Rowing Club, James Collum and Stanley Whitty.
And here come the Royal Grammar School Worcester D double of Adam Smith and Ben Walker, crew 190.
And on the far side, for us anyway, Hinckley Sculling School, Andrew Clark and Rafe Stanford Meisel.
Here come the familiar colours of Walton. It's their A double of Aidan McLennan and Oscar Roberts, 192.
And we have the very bright colours of Notts County Rowing Association and on the far side, Gloucester Hartbury A crew.
Well, storming through this gaggle, we've got Tideway Scullers B double of Hamish Murray and Cyprian Davis in the red and yellow strip.
With Ride School Boat Club and Henley Rowing Club A crew. Looks like Henley have had a good paddle. They're getting up, certainly on the crews that started ahead of them. Looking very, very tidy as they cross the line.
And then in the orange strip, Lee Rowing Club A double, Louis Powell and Jasper Dendolk, number 198. Well, just look, that Henley double have roared straight to the top of the leaderboard. A clear 2.5 seconds. I say roared straight to the top as I was saying it. The lead double have slipped in there in the number 1 slot ahead of Henley and the Scullers A and B doubles.
And next up we have Great Marlow School, Toby Lasson and Thomas Rhodes. And St Michael's Rowing Club Limerick A crew, Mark English and Ronan O'Gorman.
And they're closely followed by the Gloucester Hartbury B crew, Ollie Hanks and Tiernan Perkis.
Next up we have King's School Ely, the Boat Club A crew.
And here comes the Leander C double of Harry Briggs and Alex Michaelis.
And Northwich Rowing Club now, crew 205. Graham Harris and Patrick Brogan.
Well, the Leander C double have slid into 10th position provisionally so far, but as we said earlier, once the Leander A and B doubles get in the mix, their position, I suspect, is going to be hanging by a thread for the qualifiers.
And we now have Gloucester Hartbury coming up and Walton Rowing Club. Walton crew of James Casemore and Oliver Brew. That's not Gloucester Hartbury.
Can't read the number.
It's Northwich, I think. And we have the Leander B crew. Joseph Murphy and Stephen Hughes just crossing the line now. Closely followed in by Tideway Scullers.
Yeah, the Leander B crew have just slid into the number 2 slot. Leander C in 12th position, looking very dangerous because Leander A yet to come.
And next down we have Enniskillen Boat Club Island A crew, Ben Corrigan and Joshua Timoney. Closely followed by Henley Rowing Club. B crew of Hugo Overturf and Sam Beattie.
Then we've got the Wallingford A double of Edward Robson and Jack Holsall.
Followed by Twickenham Rowing Club A crew, Archie Drummond and Adam Stevenson.
(214) is the Thames A double of Joseph Patton and Gulliver Woods, and they're followed by Doncaster Schools Rowing Association, Joseph Acris and George Murch.
And since we now have a bit of a northeast presence in the box, we have Tyne Rowing Club coming down to the finish. Alex Tyler and Lucas Grillett. Certainly this will be a lot smoother than rowing on the Tyne at Newburn.
And then to complete the pack here in the Championship Double Sculls, it's the Leander A crew of Miles Devereux and Tim Eilers. And looking at their splits, I suspect that they're going to make a big splash in the top 12, with Lee still hanging on to the number 1 position. Devereux and Eilers about to cross the line into the last few strokes. And their time means that they have gone straight to the top of the leaderboard, 3 seconds clear of Lee, with Leander B in 3rd position, followed by Henley, Scullers A, Twickenham A, then Scullers B, Emmanuel Walton B, Gloucester Hartbury A, Great Marlow B and Hinksey Sculling School. Those are the top 12 provisional finishers for the Championship Double Sculls. Well, we can now look forward to, with keen anticipation, to the time trial for Championship Boys Single Sculls. Massive entry of 61 scullers taking part in this event. And I'm now joined by Jen Bartram here in the announce tower. Very good morning to you, Jen.
Good morning to you.
Now, come on, now you're more used, aren't you, to talking on air about the weather, but you've got a strong rowing background, so tell us a little bit more about how weather and rowing mix and how it's affected your career.
Well, it's something that has really taken off for me in the last few years. I didn't start rowing until I was in my late 20s, actually, at Parr's Priory Rowing Club on the Tideway. Not got a junior squad, so not represented here today. But I loved it, and I didn't have the opportunity when I was young to do a sport like this. So it's fantastic for all these young people to be here today. But I have been working as a meteorologist for the past 15 years or so at the BBC, and I get tapped up quite often by people in the rowing community for me to let them know what the weather's going to be doing. And of course it makes all the difference, you know, tailwind, crosswind, worst that you could ask for, well, especially on rivers. Today, not so bad on the lake, at least the water's calm.
Exactly so. Great conditions here on the opening session of the third day of racing here at the National Schools Regatta. Now, over the last couple of days, we've been talking a lot about the wind, because wind is quite often a feature of the activity here at Dorney, but I'm pleased to say that it's pretty much straight tail as the leading contenders come down towards the finish line. And here we've got coming into shot the leading sculler, number 221, and that is Brett Taylor of Rob Roy Boat Club, just notching up the first time of the day. And he certainly had a great scull. I'm looking at the intermediate splits, and of the dozen or so who've moved through into the final quarter, very much the fastest qualifier so far. But of course, don't forget that with this massive field, anything and everything can happen as the field progresses. Next up, it's sculler 220, Robert Sutherland from Fulham Reach Boat Club is their A sculler. Fulham Reach, a relatively recently formed club, halfway between Hammersmith and Putney, and their chief exec, Steve O'Connor, has done a fantastic job in growing that club in its relatively short existence. Formed a partnership with the boat race and several other great initiatives, and bringing on various boys and girls from the local academies in southwest London to try rowing for the very first time.
He's followed by William Robinson from Dulwich College Boat Club B.
Morning. Tea and coffee's in the kitchen.
Crossing the line, Harry Grant from George Watson's College.
Closely followed by 226, which is Ryan Spellman from St Michael's Rowing Club in Newark.
And level with him, sculler 222, another visitor from Ireland, Alexei Kolyasev from St Joseph's College.
Sculler number 227, just coming up to the finish line now, is Frederick Tyler from Stratford upon Avon Boat Club.
And Tristan Grange from Leander, he's their C sculler. Leander with 3 scullers in this event. We'll be seeing Joe Willis race a little later on. Just 9 times up at the moment on the leaderboard. Rob Roy still hanging on to the number 1 position. (231) Benjamin Norman from Talcin Tarn Club. Great little club up there near Carlisle, or its nearest town is actually Brampton, in the shadow of Hadrian's Wall, and they scull on a lake that is less than 500 metres in diameter. So quite an eye-opener coming down to a 2,000 metre rowing lake, I suspect, for Benjamin.
Must be nice not to have to turn around so often.
229 crossing the line, Rowan Marwick of George Watson's College.
Closely followed by 230, which is Andrew Sharp from Radnor House School Rowing Club B.
Yeah, we managed to miss out Joe Willis of Leander, looking exhausted after his scull. And Joe has slid into the number 3 position ahead of Tristan Grange, his clubmate, in 4th.
Approaching the finish now in the black boat is Fergus Woolner from Gloucester Hartpury B.
And then in the yellow strip, visitor from the coast, Christchurch Rowing Club, William Tate. Emil Gattas of Radnor House School Rowing Club, just down the river at Twickenham.
And in the yellow boat now, and the orange colours is Luca Ferrero from Lee Rowing Club in East London.
Here's a tight race between Julian van Gelderen of Windsor Boys in the green and yellow, just overhauling Oleg Dmitriev of George Watson's College, number 236.
Boat number 238 now, sculler Harry Preston from Nottingham Rowing Club, just coming over the finish line now.
And here comes sculler 239, Josh Gray from Norwich School. Sculler 241, Daniele Hamidi, and from Westminster School.
And hot on the heels of him is number 242 from Enniskillen Royal Boat Club in Ireland. That's Michael Stewart.
And leading this trio, number 244, Grant Taylor of Henley Rowing Club. And he's followed by Joseph Adamson of Chesterless Street. And the second Chesterless Street sculler, Dean Slater.
Lovely little stretch of the River Wear at Chesterley Street. It's a nice place to row.
So which is your home club, Jane? Which do you regard as your rowing origins? You mentioned Pars Priory, but what about up north?
I'm not affiliated with a particular one up north, but I was a Durham University student for a long time, so maybe one of the Durham clubs. I don't like to nail my colours to the mast too much.
Well, it's another northern visitor from Agecroft in Manchester, just crossed the line, Paul Phillips. And he's followed by Edward Rayner of Maidenhead. And then Samuel Smith from Trent Rowing Club. He's their A sculler.
Our next sculler approaching the finish line now is Gloucester Hartpury's Robert Kilger. Already then.
Number 251 approaching the line, Joe Diver from Hollingworth Lake Rowing Club.
Followed by 252, which is Rory White from Glasgow Academy Rowing Club A.
Hollingworth Lake up there in the shadow of the M62 produced many fine scullers over the years. Most recently Jess Leyden, who's in the GB quad.
And now a couple of scullers coming over the finish line. Edward O'Neill in 253 from St William Borlace's Grammar School, and Finn Larkin from Nottinghamshire County Rowing Association.
A spirited finish from Joseph Bowes of Newark, number 255.
And the next sculler coming through is 257, Solomon Hewitt from Christchurch Rowing Club A.
And from Nottingham and Union, James Forward, number 259.
And Duncan Huntley approaching the finish line now in the white boat from Royal Grammar School High Wycombe Boat Club B.
260 is another Isle of Ely sculler, Jake Tompkins.
And the black boat, which is coming up towards the finish now, is Rory Gamble from Enniskillen Royal Boat Club B.
.262 is Benjamin Hinvies from Royal Grammar School High Wycombe. He's sculling as their A competitor.
And now we have Oscar Turner from Reading Rowing Club just coming over the finish line now, looking very strong.
And he's followed by 263, Richard Locke from Wycliffe Juniors.
And then after him, Alexander Milne from Leander Club A. Sebastian Paisley from Grange School, Hertford now, just coming over the line.
Well, Alex Milne's time there has moved him into 4th place in the leaderboard behind Julian Van Gelderen of Windsor Boys and Rob Roy and Nottingham and Union. Those are the top 4 provisionally at this early stage.
Plenty of support from the crowd out there this morning already. 268 now coming over the finish line. That was Fulham Reach Boat Club B, Aidan Pierre Huilimara.
And here comes sculler 269, Tucker Moran from the American School in London.
Boats number 270 and 271 now approaching the finish line. 270 coming over first is going to be Aidan Morris from Durham Amateur Rowing Club.
And 271, that's Fergus Thomas from Dulwich College.
The black boat coming into view now is Ewan Turnell from Henley Rowing Club E.
And followed by his clubmate, Henley Rowing Club D, Luke Marshall in the red boat, number 274.
And a stretch of the River Tyne that I know quite well, Tyne Amateur Rowing Club B, William Vinney coming over the finish line now.
And here comes sculler 276, Rowan Baker from Norwich.
have sculler number 279 approaching the finish line now, which is Idris Mahamadi from Glasgow Academy Rowing Club B. That's in the black boat. Followed by 277, another Tyne Amateur Rowing Club sculler, Matthew Hudson.
And to finish off this massive entry in Championship single sculls, Peter Demianov from George Watson's College. So, as the times are finally notched up on the leaderboard, we should be able to give you a provisional top 12. So we've had a smattering of withdrawals, including 2 from Henley Rowing Club, but let's just see how the top placings have come out. So, very provisionally, top of the leaderboard, we've got Julian Van Gelderen of Windsor Boys School, followed by Brett Taylor of Rob Roy, then 259. James Ford of Nottingham and Union, then the Leander A sculler, Agecroft, Notts County, Chester Street A, St Michael's A, Christchurch A. Then Leander did get 3 scullers in the top 12 because Leander B and Leander C, and followed in that vital 12th slot very provisionally by Ewan Turnell of Henley Rowing Club. So those are the provisional top 12 finishers, but of course the qualification gods are against me because it's the top 16 that progress to the AB semis in this event. So good news for the Henley D sculler, for Lee, for Sir William Borlase B, and amazingly great news, Talcott and Tarn.
Brilliant.
Time trials. It's just calling.
Good morning and welcome from Greg Davis. I'm joined in the tower by...
Jennifer Bartram, good morning.
So it's our pleasure to bring you some information about the morning's time trials. And on the course at the moment we have the Women's Junior 16 quadruple sculls. And leading off were Latimer Upper School, followed by Peterborough City, Wimbledon High School, Headington A, Great Marlow School, York City and Sir William Perkins. As you might expect, there is a considerable entry for this, and if you were to look to your right you can see the first crews coming down. Perhaps some to look out for will be, and they're on the course at the moment, will be Tideway Scullers School, that's 289, who won the junior sculling regatta earlier in the regatta term. And I'm sure that Marlow, who are 309, who just lost out to them, will be wanting to get into the semi-final. It's the 12 fastest that go through to the semi-final.
And approaching the finish line first, we have Latimer Upper School Boat Club A, boat number 281, stroked by Caroline Risky.
That's Peterborough, Jen.
282 now, girls quad approaching the finish, that's Peterborough City Rowing Club, stroked by Nell Papworth.
On this side we've got 283, which is Wimbledon, and on the far side 284, Headington. So this side Wimbledon, far side Headington.
So Wimbledon High School Boat Club A just coming over the finish line now, closely followed by Headington School Oxford Boat Club A.
And there's 285 coming down, Great Marlow. And they're all in order.
And the red boat now, which is just starting to approach the finish, is Great Marlow School Boat Club, crew number 285.
And then York City.
And then hot on their heels, York City.
Coming up again, Jen. Thanks. So we've just got a bit of a lull at the moment as we're waiting for the other boats to come down. Just a bit of information about this race. It is the Colonel's Cup, and the holders are Henley Rowing Club, and the record for this is 7 minutes 10 seconds. Now, remember, this time trial is being held over 1900 meters, so the times that you will see if you're looking at your smart phone or an iPad with that SIM card in it, you are looking at a 1900 time. So currently the fastest time is by Latimer Upper School, a very good girls program at Latimer Upper, very heavily supported by the headmaster there, David Goodhue. So we've got a cluster of 3 boats coming down to the finish, and it looks like Henley Rowing Club are moving very well. They're, as we said, they're the holders, and they look to have moved very well indeed, looking for a place in the semi-finals.
Tideway Scullers School are following on behind the next boat to come in, looking pretty strong as they're coming over the finish, and followed by crew number 287, which is Sir William Perkins School Rowing Club.
From another break now. It's funny that they've left so much space between clusters.
The sunshine's just starting to break through the clouds now. I'm always quite happy when I'm talking about weather. That's my comfort zone for sure. We should have a little bit of sunshine today. It's a little bit muggier than it has been, and we've got a bit more of a breeze as well, but I think that might be quite comforting for the athletes today.
We're just looking at the flags opposite the commentating tower here, and it's the wind has moved around from yesterday, so it's definitely more of a crosswind, perhaps a cross tail, but that might cause a few problems later on. The umpires will need to decide whether we go with the usual chevron or swap it to echelon, which means that the fastest boats will probably be put into lane 6, more sheltered, but we'll see as it happens. And as I said, Tideway Scullers School have posted so far the fastest time. They're one of the favourites, one would say, and you see that they're safely through to the semi-finals. But just coming to the line now, a cluster of 3 boats.
And in the lead of that pack is Evesham Rowing Club in number 291. Very closely followed by 294, which is Wallingford Rowing Club A. And that third crew to come across was King's School Worcester Boat Club. Kingston Rowing Club next to come down the course in the red and white stripy kit. Just approaching the finish line now. And now Emmanuel Boat Club making their way for the last few metres towards the finish. The yellow boat following them is Abingdon. Plenty of support for all of our crews today.
So on the course at the moment, look out for Henley Rowing Club A. They'll be coming down towards the finish soon. We're expecting them to put in a good showing. Bedford Modern School Boat Club, they were 3rd in the junior sculling regatta, so they'll be pushing for a place in the semi-final. And we've just had a look at the timings, and 3:04 Isle of Ely are coming down, and they are motoring at the moment. So one to look out for, 3:04.
Crew 299 Henley Rowing Club A just crossed the finish line now, looking very strong, and followed by 292 St Michael's Rowing Club from Limerick, Crew A.
So provisionally, that Henley Rowing Club A have posted the 3rd best time so far in this time trial. That should be enough for them to get through to the semi-final, along with Tideway Scullers and Latimer Upper.
And that latest crew to come over the finish line was Bedford Modern School Boat Club, stroked by Emily Watson.
So on the course, as well as a 3:04 Isle of Ely, we also have Lady Eleanor Hollis Boat Club, and they were 4th in the junior sculling regatta, so they should be hoping that they reach the semi-final, as will Marlow Rowing Club. They were 2nd at that sculling regatta.
And that was Wallingford, who've just come over the finish line, Wallingford Rowing Club B, closely followed by Walbrook Rowing Club A. Crew number 304 just crossed the finish line. That's Isle of Ely Rowing Club. And 303 following on behind American School in London Boat Club.
Oh, we said to look out for the Isle of Ely 304, and they've just crossed. And they have posted the fastest time so far. So unless there's a mistake, they will certainly be going through to the semi-finals. And this is shaping up to be a very strong, competitive semi-final indeed.
The next two crews to come towards the finish line are Kingston Grammar School Boat Club, number 306, followed by Lady Eleanor Hollis Boat Club, 307, just crossing now.
So that's another one of the favoured crews. That's Lady Eleanor Hollis Boat Club. I know their headmistress was here yesterday and was incredibly proud that her girls won the Championship 8s over Henley yesterday. It looks as though she'd be a proud headmistress again today.
Now the red boat, which is just coming up towards the finish now, is Marlow Rowing Club, number 309, stroked by Molly Newman this morning.
Again, Marlow will be hoping for a place in that competitive semi-final. Their finish time will pop up in a second. Just to reiterate, all of these timings are provisional. They have to be ratified by the chief umpire. And if you're looking at your smartphone, you might see that top right hand corner there's a little tab. It is orange when it's unofficial, and it is goes green when it is official.
And Bedford Rowing Club just coming over the finish line now, crew 308, and they're followed by Stratford Bunabin Boat Club 310, just coming into view now.
And that concludes the time trials for the women's J16 quads. And next on the course is one of the big races of the day. It's the Championship Girls coxless fours. So remember that these boats do not have a cox, so it's steered by the athletes inside the boat, which can be quite interesting from time to time. And particularly with the crosswind, it will make steering much harder. We've got 12 competitors in this race. We've got Lee Rowing Club, Putney High School A, Monkton Combe A, Nottinghamshire County, Henley, Latimer Upper, Lady Eleanor Hollis A, Latimer Upper A, Canford, Godolphin and Latimer, St Michael's and King's School Worcester. And the first three crews have reached the 900 metre mark. Should be able to see the distinctive colour of Lee Rowing Club coming down the track. And one to look out for here, I think, is Nottinghamshire County 314. They're well known for their girls sweep programme, and they will be hoping to do well in this event today. And while we're just waiting for these championship coxless fours to reach us, just to remind you that you are at the premier junior rowing event in the UK. I think we're privileged to be at that. The National Schools Regatta is now far bigger than it was even 10 years ago. There will be 153 schools and clubs here this weekend. and you will be watching some future Olympians without a shadow of a doubt. And remember, and I've said this yesterday, but it's very important, that the National Schools Regatta is a charity. And the money that is raised today, it's a non-profit making charity. And the money that's made here today, yesterday and on Friday will go towards trying to improve the rowing experience for junior rowing at grassroots and trying to increase competition amongst those who might find it difficult to get into rowing. So any money you spend here, please know that it is going to an extremely good cause. But now let's draw our attention to the lake, because just coming down now are the first crews from this event.
And Putney High School are the leading boat here, followed by Lee Rowing Club in the orange now.
Putney High School, one of an emerging number of girls' schools in London to be increasing their rowing programme. It's probably due to Susie Longstaff, the head, who is an ex-GB Cox, and though she is thrilled how well Putney High School have done so far, and I've no doubt that she'll be here watching this Championship 4.
The crew in green now, just approaching the finish, is Nottinghamshire County Rowing Association. Henley Rowing Club in 3:15 over the finish now, followed by Monkton Combe School Boat Club A.
So Henley Rowing Club there, rowing extremely well. The boat speed in the last 100 metres was very high, so we wouldn't be surprised if they bag one of those semi-final places.
The yellow boat approaching the finish now is 3:16, which is Latimer Upper School Boat Club B. Followed on by the black boat, which is Lady Eleanor Hollis Boat Club A. And Latimer A crossing now, 3:18.
Latimer Upper, one of the favoured crews in this race, and revisional times will suggest that they will be giving Henley and Nottinghamshire a run for their money in those semi-finals. So although there are only 12 crews in this, it's important that they have this time trial to decide who will have the better lanes, and as the wind picks up, that will be very important indeed. So at the moment, Henley and Latimer, with Nottinghamshire County and Putney, are looking forward to having the favoured lanes in the two semi-finals.
That was Canford School Boat Club just over the finish line now in the blue kit. And next to approach the finish is Godolphin and Latimer School Boat Club B. (3:21) St Michael's Rowing Club from Limerick, Crew A, just approaching the finish line now. And crew number 322, that's King's School Worcester Boat Club. Just getting to the finish now.
And that will conclude the time trial for the Colts Cup, the Championship Girls Coxless 4s. Next on the course, another exciting time trial. It is the Sheriff Cup for Championship Girls Quads. Again, one of the main races of the day. Current holders are Henley Rowing Club again. The fastest time was posted in 2016, possibly with Lucy Glover on board, who's now, of course, a GB sculler in her own right. And Jen, as we're just waiting for these crews to come down, I'm just beginning to get a waft of barbecue bacon coming over here. And it's just the most lovely smell. Now, we are very hungry over here, so if you were able to have a spare bacon butty.
Or two.
Or two. Actually, that's three now. Yeah, three. We are the White Tower, waving at you now. So you see us waving. I am losing weight as I'm waving. So please do send some of those barbecued bacon bits.
If you think
over.
that's bad for us, imagine being in a boat just waiting to go up to the start and that smell wafts by you.
That would be much, much
Motivation to get to the finish, perhaps.
worse. Of course, when I rode, a thing like a bacon butty was what you actually trained on. And now you've got all sorts of different nutritional things that you have to be careful about. So I'm sure you parents over there will know all about that you have to go to Tesco or Waitrose and pick up all sorts of different stuff. And I wonder how many of you have bought a new smoothie maker so that you can make beetroot juice.
Is that the in thing?
That's the in thing.
Okay. I'm very much behind on the
And it enhances, it's got lots of vitamin B12, which enhances some form of aerobic respiration.
very knowledgeable. I'm very impressed, actually.
I might be making that up, but I think it's along the right
Say
lines.
it with conviction and it doesn't matter.
Can I just be clear? It's bacon that we want, not beetroot. Let's just be clear.
Well, we don't need to worry about our aerobic respiration, do we?
not.
What's really nice about this event actually is there's been a real push for sustainability and people bringing their own food, people bringing things in reusable containers, and I know this is said a lot at the moment, but I think there's real progress being made and we're really hoping that there's going to be no rubbish left behind. I know that nobody would do that here. So well done to everyone who's brought their own stuff, and we have reusable everything, coffee cups, water bottles. It's all a push to make the regatta more sustainable, environmentally friendly, and I know that a lot of rowing clubs around the country are doing the same, which is great.
I'm just looking through my binoculars just to check that the regatta shop is open, and indeed it is. So if you haven't yet bought the ubiquitous t-shirt that is a must for every athlete here, please go along. I mentioned yesterday that there will be a few XXXLs for people of my stature. So I'm hoping there's going to be some left by the time I get over there. whilst we're waiting, just perhaps a little on the history of the regatta. And if you're watching this online, you can see the regatta shop. It's quite busy. There won't be much left by about 12 o'clock, so if you haven't bought your memento of the weekend, now would be a good time to go over there and pick it up. But something about the history. So it goes back quite a long time. 1947 is when it was first started by a chap called Desmond Hill, who was a school teacher and of course a rowing coach. In that first year there were just 4 schools that raced in it, and that was the Royal Shrewsbury, Bedford School, Radley College and St Edward's in Oxford. And it was originally raced, obviously not at Dorney because Dorney wasn't built, nor the Nottinghamshire Water Sports Centre, but at Godstow, and it was called the Colts and Third Eights Regatta. And it wasn't until 1964 that it was renamed the National Schools Regatta, and for many years, since 1973, it was held at the 6-lane course at Home Pierpoint in Nottingham, the National Water Sports Centre. So in that Nottingham, I don't know if it is apocryphal, but it's a great story anyway, that they say that it should have been the site for Nottingham Airport, but they found out that it was too windy for the airport, so they thought they'd build a rowing lake there. Not sure that's true.
It doesn't matter whether it's windy for the rowers, that's fine.
No. There's some, well, not great occasions, but and at Dorney too, where you look on the lake now and you can't, it's pretty smooth and pretty flat. But both of these lakes, if we have that crosswind or cross tailwind, you very quickly get some white horses leaping about in a lake. And if it's a very heavy tailwind, you can stand at the finish there, and actually it's like being at the seaside, because you've got the waves coming in. But we don't want any of that today, please. We just want some smooth conditions so that racing can be fair. And it's great now that that Championship Girls quadruple sculls has started, and these will be some of the fastest crews that you'll see today. And these athletes are at the pinnacle of their schoolboy career, and you'll be seeing some wonderful blade work, great timing, and some really fast moving boats. So don't go into the tent for your cup of tea over the next 3 minutes, because if you do and you look back, you'll miss these athletes going past. So now's the time to come out of your tents, bring your tea with you and your bacon butty, come and watch some fantastic sculling in the time trial. Three crews approaching. I'm quite surprised to see them so close together, actually. The umpires would generally try and set them off so that we don't get any racing during the time trials. But just to perhaps let you know of some crews to look out for here. So Marlow A, crew number 340. They are one of the faster crews in the regatta season. Lee Rowing Club, they've already started, and we're looking for them to post a fast time. but it's a huge field. There's about 30 crews vying for a semi-final position. 12 fastest only go through. This is going to be a really tough time trial, and you won't see many of these crews playing a game of trying to save energy. So I think what we can see first, Jen, is that Lee Rowing Club coming down first. Looks as though they may have overtaken the other two boats there. They're posting an extremely fast time to the first 400 meters, and currently quickest. So have a look at them. They're one to look out for. Lovely, lovely blade work. My colleague Charlie Wigan would be almost salivating over the blade work. All together, wonderfully powerful. Great speed generated by the four athletes in that boat. And they're followed over the line
by Maidenhead coming through now. And you're right, I don't think many of these crews are holding anything back for later. They're really gunning for it all the way. 3-2-3, now that's Tyne Amateur Rowing Club. And Tideway Scullers now with the red and yellow distinctive blades. Crew 326.
So those looks like the times to beat. Both Lee and Tideway posting sub 650 times. I suspect that anyone who wants to be in the semi-finals will need to be posting sub 655. So that's Lee with 647 and Tideway Scullers.
The next couple of crews approaching the finish line now. We have 327, which is Queen Anne's Boat Club A, and they're followed by 328, which is Headington School Oxford Boat Club B.
And great to see Queen Anne's here. They've got a burgeoning rowing programme. Queen Anne's Caversham, under the watchful eye of former Olympic coach Rob Morgan.
329, the yellow boat, which has just come through the finish, is Latimer Upper School A. And 330, the white boat, which is just approaching the finish line now, is Enniskillen Royal Boat Club from Ireland.
So on the course at the moment we've got 342 Henley Rowing Club. Remember, they are the holders of this event. So look out for them coming down the course.
Another Tideway Scullers crew B just crossed the finish line now, crew 331. And 332 in the blue kit, Monmouth Comprehensive School.
Crew 333 just approaching the line, Canford School Boat Club. Imogen Gallego, Grace Hewitt, Lucy King and Tess Marley.
And a couple of lengths behind them towards the finish is Surbiton High School Boat Club A, crew 334. I like the little S's on Surbiton's blades.
And just approaching now, we've got Mossbourne Rowing Academy, crew 336.
Followed by Northwich Rowing Club 337. And Northwich actually trying to give everything they can to claw a little bit of water back in that little mini race towards the finish.
So any little bit of time you can save at the end will be great. As I said, this is a hugely competitive event, one of the blue ribbon events of the day.
Next, approaching the finish line now, we have Marlow Rowing Club with the red and black kit now in the white boat.
Oh my goodness, that was an awful crab there. Just at the finish. Gosh, those girls have done well to recover from that. That won't have cost them too many seconds. But it looked as though the blade really did give one of the athletes a big smash. I know that the safety boat will be carefully looking at that.
Disappointment on their faces for that, but they recovered from it quite well. Just an awful time for it to happen.
It didn't harm them too much because currently they are sub 6:55 and it looks like they will reach the semi-finals, so you can just see how hard they're pushing, can't you?
Next over the line, 338, which is Fulham Reach Boat Club B, and 339, Hinksey Sculling School B.
And that must be 342, that must be Henley Rowing Club. And I have to give a shout out there to Sophia Hahn, who's one of my students. And she will be hoping, she was terrifically disappointed yesterday not to win gold. She doesn't usually pick up silver or bronze. So she and her crew will be determined to make amends for that. And indeed, currently, they really did lash down that course in the Finnish unofficial time of 6:42.
Now here's a stylish looking boat, 344, the purple boat, very recognisable, Glasgow Academy Rowing Club B. Don't see too many purple boats around.
There's possibly a good reason for that. I daren't say it. Now, have a look out now. You've got Headington School Boat Club A, and they are sculling absolutely beautifully. And they're certainly not holding back. They want a place in that semi-final, and they're really giving it everything in the last 150. It's going to be interesting to see their time at the end. There's sort of bragging rights to get the top time in the time trial, but as we know, it doesn't matter when you're side by side. So that is Headington.
And they're just pulling away ahead of Glasgow Academy A.
Yeah, indeed, Headington just moved into unofficially second place in the time trial. My goodness, I tell you, this is going to be some semi-final and some final.
Crew number 347 approaching the finish now, which is Bedford Modern School Boats Club. And they will be followed by Cheltenham Ladies College Crew A, which is number 348.
So just so that you can put this into your smartwatch as an alarm, 4:45 is when the final for this event will be. 4:45, it'll be some event, so set your alarms now.
Now the yellow boat that's just crossed the finish line is Royal Shrewsbury, and they will be followed by crew number 349, which is Great Marlow School Boat Club in the white boat now. Wimbledon High School, crew number 350, being chased to the finish by 353, which is Hinksey Sculling School.
So Jen, 39 crews in this event and all going for the top 12. So there's going to be 39 minus 12, 27 I think, crews that are going to be disappointed.
And it's really going to come down to seconds, milliseconds between some of these crews.
Well, currently we have an equal 12th place in the unofficial timing, so That'll be interesting for the umpires to work out.
The next cluster of boats approaching the finish line. 355, which is Fulham Reach Boat Club, which is doing a lot to get a grassroots rowing opportunities for communities that wouldn't normally access it.
Queen Anne's B on this side.
Queen Anne's B, then following on from there. And Lady Eleanor Hollis. Just a foot or so behind. Walton coming towards a finish now in the white boat. Some big support for Walton from the crowd.
And they're going to be followed in by Putney High School. Putney is Lucia Wickham, Gemma Larter, Imogen Bantic and Alice Bridges.
And the next quad to follow on through the finish line will be York City Rowing Club 359. And they will be followed in by King's School Ely, the Boat Club A, crew number 360. And with a time trial, the wait, crossing over the finish line, exhausted, the wait to see where you've placed must be excruciating.
The chief timekeeper will be feeling a little relieved because those two identical times that were equal 12th have been bumped down to equal 13th, so you won't have to make a decision. So I said you'd need to be under about 6:55 to be in the top 12. Currently the 12th place is 6:58. So this is, as I keep saying, it's going to be a cracking race.
And the final crew, which is approaching the finish line now, is King's School Worcester, boat number 361.
So certainly from the unofficial times it looks as though Henley, Headington, Gloucester, Hartbury and Lee won't have it their own way, because Royal Shrewsbury School recently of course became co-educational all the way through, and they've clearly got a fabulous quad together. They have unofficially posted the best time in the time trial, so that'll make Henley and Headington sit up a little bit, because we haven't really seen Shrewsbury on the scene this year yet. So in that time trial at over 1900 metres, can you believe that the top two boats were separated by 0.11 of a second over 1900 metres?
That's incredible.
So top 12 boats probably time between 6:41 and 6:58. So there's some super names, famous names, and some new names in that lineup. So it's lovely to see if these results are ratified that Hinksey, that wonderful sculling school in Oxford, will be represented in the semi-final. And it's lovely to see Glasgow Academy in there too. So on the course now, another blue ribboned event, the Royal Engineers Cup. Championship coxless fours. So if you were here late in the evening to see that wonderful 8th championship final that saw St Paul's win it with an incredibly brave race from start to finish, went out hard, rode hard in the middle, and unfortunately for my school rode hard at the end as well, just pipping Shiplake College into 2nd and Radley into 3rd. So that boat will now be split into the coxed 4 and the coxless 4, so you'll be seeing some wonderful rowing coming down. All, I would say most if not all of these boys will have been rowing in the 8s yesterday. One to look out for perhaps, apart from the obvious ones of St Paul's and Eton. Radley College, I know they've got a quick 4. Eton have got 2 coxless 4s in. So if you're watching this live, we'd just be picking up these boats. There's Pangbourne who are coming down and going hard. So some of these schools will of course be looking forward to the 4s event perhaps more than the 8s event. You'll be very fortunate as a school if you've got 8 rowers all of the same level, and sometimes you might have 4 really good rowers with great ergo times, and you might fancy your chances at the championship coxed or coxless 4 event. So St Paul's Boat Club have set down a marker now at the 900 metres of a time of 2 minutes 49. So I suspect that the other schools will be looking at that to see what they can if they get anywhere near it. A lot of this of course will depend on how well the athletes have recovered after 3 races, a time trial, semis and the final yesterday. That will have taken a lot out of their legs, and coaches, probably coaches more than parents, I think, will have been trying to make sure they are well rested. Water baths might have been used, or ice baths might have been used last night, and certainly nutrition would have been key. So if you're watching this live, there is the St Paul's coxless 4s. Don't they row well? I mean, it doesn't look as though they are going very quickly at all, but let me tell you, they are wonderfully controlled. Great rate, spending time on the slide, shooting the legs back, all the power going through the water. They're just approaching the beginning of the tents. And they'll be coming into your view. Again, if you're having a chat with your neighbour, I'm going to speak a little bit louder. If you're having a chat with your neighbour, just turn towards the river to watch these fantastic athletes coming down. And it doesn't matter actually what school you are supporting. You just give these guys that are coming down just give them a bit of an applause, because these are tremendous athletes. All of these crews coming down, they deserve our support. So You don't have to shout, but give them some applause. They would appreciate that, I know.
Absolutely, it really does make a difference. And these are incredibly disciplined young people. It's hard to, it's easy to forget when you're just watching it that these are very young athletes embarking on their rowing career for some of them. And their discipline and application to the sport is fantastic.
Yes, and of course, remember that as St. Paul's come to the finish line, that many of these boys, and again the girls in the previous race, they'll be doing A-levels or Scottish Highers, International Baccalaureate, a whole plethora of sixth form qualifications. They're doing them now, so they are trying to balance both a great athletic work with some studious work too. And just coming to the finish,
Crew number 364, Enniskillen Royal, Crew A.
And they were certainly motoring, weren't they, as they were coming to the end there.
Followed by Eton College B.
That's Radley just approaching. They look pretty speedy. But here are the we did a straw poll yesterday actually, and we looked at who mums thought the best looking crew were, and I have to say that Shiplake College came out on top as the best looking crew, and they are just approaching the finish, and they've given their all. Proud headmaster.
And again, none of these crews are holding anything back for later. This is everything. Everything. And there's some fantastic displays of rowing here. 369 coming up next. That's Latimer Upper School Boat Club A. And the yellow boat just crossing the finish line.
And have a look at Westminster School Boat Club. They are, again, they're motoring. They're not keeping anything back. They've had a really good time trial. Look at the speed of that boat. They've got the rate right up. There's no playing around with time trials for these young men, that's for sure. They're giving it their absolute all. And I know their headmaster will be riding up and down today as he was yesterday, giving encouragement to them. So Westminster, they're just making the top four unofficially. So it's Enniskillen, which is great to see. Enniskillen at the top of the leaderboard at the moment by 0.3 of a second over Radley College, followed by St. Paul's.
Now the next crew which is approaching the finish line will be Hampton School Boat Club A, crew number 371 in the black boat with the very pleasant yellow blades.
So coming down soon will be the Royal Shrewsbury School. Have a look out for them. This is Eton College A. And they won't be holding back either. You can just see the effort in the final part of the stroke by the bowman there. He's given it his absolute all. His back is going to be a bit sore later on.
Crew number 372 will be next to approach the finish line. Supporters of Royal Shrewsbury School Boat Club. They're coming through now. And exhaustion as soon as that line is crossed.
And they've had a good row too, and they're pushed into the top four.
Here come Walton now. Crew number 373.
So one to look for when they come down now is St Edward's Boat Club. They have a really fast four, I know. They'll be hoping to make the semi-finals in this very competitive race.
That's 374, St Paul's School Boat Club A crew, just having crossed the finish line. Abingdon School will be next. And they will be followed by Bryanston School, Boat Club A.
Sorry.
St Edward's now with the blue blades crossing the finish line.
They look as though they've had a very good row. Adam Moffat will be pleased, I suspect, with that. He's checking his stopwatch. Will it be enough to get into the semi-final?
And another crew motoring towards the finish line now. Westminster, Boat Club B.
Just coming down now is Winchester.
They will be closely followed by King's College School Boat Club, crew number 380. So Winchester will be next to cross the finish line in the blue boat.
And the final crew in the Royal Engineers Cup is just coming into the last 250, and that should be the 1863 club. Benjamin Gompertz, Hussien Warren, Jared Forrest and Joshua Rogers. When they cross the line, that will mean that the Royal Engineers Cup time trial is finished. And we're having a look at the unofficial times, and it's Enniskillen at the top of the leaderboard there by 0.3 of a second over Radley. But there's not much between the top 5 or 6 of those crews. St Edward's School in there, Royal Shrewsbury School are in there, Westminster are up there as well, Eton, renowned racers. So it's great to be in the semi-final. That's the main object. And then it's all about racing, and it's a different mentality in racing than it is for a time trial. So you may have finished 5th or 6th in the time trial, but actually when you get side by side, something else happens to you and you just can't help but go quicker. So on the course now we have the championship coxed fours. So the coaches will have put a different type of athlete into this because they have to carry down the cox with them as well. So it requires slightly different technique, slightly different power, and so the coaches would have been very careful in who they've selected to put into them. But again, one of the blue ribboned events. The final for this, it's the Headsall Cup, is at 8 minutes past 5. The final for this, 8 minutes past 5. The semi-finals are quarter past 4 and 20 past, sorry, quarter past 2 and 20 past 2.
As we mentioned earlier, we do have a bit of a crosswind picking up that we didn't have as much of over the last couple of days, so the coxswains will be keeping an eye on that, keeping an eye on the positioning and the steering as they're coming down the course, as well, of course, as motivating and encouraging and making sure their crews follow the plan.
So it's Monkton Coombe School just crossing. Monkton won the Child Beale Cup yesterday. I'm absolutely thrilled with that.
They will be followed by Latimer Upper School 383, the next crew, coming into view in the white boat, which will be crossing the line in just a few seconds' time.
So again, expect this to be hugely competitive. That's King's College just finishing, and the very obvious colours of Hampton coming down now into the last 100 metres. And then we've got a bit of a race then between, looks as though it's Radley and Shrewsbury, and that's going to help both of those crews. So Radley will be working incredibly hard to keep Shrewsbury from taking them over, and Shrewsbury of course will be working hard to get past them, so that will undoubtedly help. Radley, lovely rhythm, languid I would describe it, whereas Shrewsbury School rating a little higher, trying to get on. Both, have a look at them there, both crews utterly exhausted, no games to be played here.
I think that was King's College. Beautiful.
So apologies, that were to King's College, that it was King's College being pushed along.
Now we have Shrewsbury coming towards the finish, 387, here they are now. Do you think there's an advantage to having a boat to race against in a time trial?
I think there is, as long as you don't get it, where you really want it is in the last 500 metres, where you know that you definitely don't want to be overtaken, but you know you want to overtake. So it does give that extra impetus, that side by side. So there is an advantage, and maybe that did help Radley there, because Radley have posted so far the quickest time. But again, we're talking by just 1 second over Hampton.
It's so tight when it comes down to milliseconds between the crews. The next one to cross the finish line will be St Paul's School Boat Club A, crew number 388. And they're going to be followed in by St Paul's School B, 390.
That's the King's School Chester moving to the line there. King's School Chester, that's Gregor Montgomery, James Clark, Owen Parsonage and Jack Ramsbottom.
Eton College Boat Club B, crew number 391, will be the next to approach the finish line. Well supported.
That's Monmouth approaching the line, and followed by Shiplake. So there better had not be any supporters at the Shiplake tent, anywhere near the tent.
That's an order.
Shiplake College looking still very long. So that's been a good race by Shiplake, and Hugh Mackworth Pride will be happy with that. Well, actually, he's never happy, so he'll be moderately pleased.
I think that's something good that you could ask for. Moderately pleased. King's College School Boat Club D will be the next crew to approach the finish line. They will be followed by St Joseph College from Ireland, crew number 395 in the blue kit in the white boat.
And then further up we're going to have Abingdon, and the final crew down should be Eton College A. That is their Premier 4, so we should be expecting a fast time from them. So as Abingdon cross the line, we look to Eton, and they certainly should be powering down now. They were very disappointed, I'm sure, not to be amongst the medalists in the Championship 8s yesterday, and will want to bring a medal home from this coxed 4. And certainly the boat speed looks good. Still rowing nice and long, getting maximum leverage for the boat. So that's all of the crews finished now for the Ch4 Cup, the race for Championship Coxed 4s, and unofficially it was that Eton College crew at the end who have posted the fastest time, and by some distance, one has to say. 7 seconds over 1900 metres, that is a huge advantage. So it just shows how quick they can go. It'll be up to the other crews now in the semi-finals to make sure they keep Eton with them. So if looks at the times, and you can do this too on the National Schools Regatta website, there's a link there to Regatta Time Team, and you'll find this race fascinating. If you look at that Eton College time, they were the 5th fastest to the first 400, and then between in that next 500 they were incredibly quick. So they went from the 5th fastest time to the 1st fastest time. So that split, I can't work it out in my head, but that split will be amazing actually to finish there. So unofficially, oh, it's just gone to official. That's been very quick. So officially, top 12 are Eton College A, Radley A, Hampton A, Shiplake College, St Paul's B, Abingdon A, Monmouth, Eton College B, Moncton Combe, Royal Shrewsbury School, King's College School, and Latimer Upper School. So I think all crews, because I think they might be running 8 lanes for this. I think all crews, it suggests, are going through to the semi-final. It'll be quite exciting to see all 8 lanes being used, if that is the case. I'll have to have that clarified, but it certainly says that all crews will go to the semi-final. So 8 lane racing this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. That will be some fun to be had. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the time trials finished. We're back at 10 to 12, 11:50 with the first of the semi-finals. That'll be the J16 quadruple sculls. So now's the time you can go back into the tents, have a cup of tea. Let me just tell you, it's far too early to open up the champagne. So get your bacon butties. Sadly, Jen and I were not brought any, so I'm going to have to go and try and find one now. But you've got an hour off to relax, and then please come back and, as I said earlier, support all of the athletes that are coming down. They deserve our support.